Welcome to the Carolina Codecast. Today I've got with us Chris Merritt from Grok 2023. He's going to be talking about the unconference coming up at the beginning of October. Hi, Chris.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Glad you could be with us. So tell us, what are you up to these days?
Oh man, what am I up to? Well, summer's coming to an end. School has started back, so my life's getting a little more serious. For anyone who knows me personally, I take summer break pretty serious. We try to travel and get outdoors and do all kinds of fun stuff.
Nice.
Yeah, so logistically, what that looks like, or I guess like on the professional side of things, I do a couple of different things. I run Faculty, which is a web consultancy.
Okay.
We do design and dev work for clients. That's kind of the main gig. I tell everyone that's the thing that like pays the bills. And then on the side, for fun, I run Atlas Local and Grok with my business partner Matt Cook. And Atlo's a co-working space here in Greenville, South Carolina. For those of you who maybe don't know that, and then Grok is our hopefully annual sort of tech conference meetup thing. Been kind of hard to do that lately with the world, but. In an ideal world.
So where is Atlas Local now? Is it the same place that it was when I was there?
Yeah, so we're over in the village, in the first floor of the Brandon Mill.
Okay.
We've been there since
Really nice
2016. Yeah, it's a fun little spot. It's we were kind of drawn to that property because it would give us the space we needed, but then it is primarily a residential property. But us being a commercial space, we have access to all their amenities and stuff. So it's kind of nice to have access to the gym and the pool. We use their game room for our meetups and the movie theater for meetups, that kinds of stuff. So helps solve some of our logistical problems with meetup space that way.
Yeah, we got to use it a few years back when I was working for DeMartian at the time. They started an internship program and hired 4 interns in the Greenville area, and we needed a space for them. And so we put everybody over at Atlo. And that was a really great space. I don't know if we ever took advantage of the gym, but I know we took advantage of the game room space for a bit.
Yeah, I should probably take advantage of the gym. I never do. I'm just trying to have fun. But yeah.
Yeah, it's cool seeing those old mills in this area get converted and kind of upfitted to modernize.
Yeah, it's super interesting to see them salvage something that has just sat there and decayed for so long. I mean, that building was mostly abandoned for I don't even know how long, but decades before they renovated it. It was in pretty rough shape the first time I walked through it with them.
Yep, it's good stuff. So you've been running Atlas Local since when?
So anytime we talk about Atlas Local, we try to talk in the collective because we're sort of like a co-op. I mean, essentially we started as a co-op in 2007. There was about 8 or so folks that just needed a place to get out of the house. I feel like we were all young and didn't have homes and home offices, hadn't gotten to that stage of life quite yet.
Yep.
So 2007, 2008, somewhere, in 2007, beginning 2008, it's kind of like when the band got together to sort of build that. I didn't get involved until maybe like 2011 or so. I had a day job at the time that didn't let me work remotely very much. But anytime I got a chance, I would, pop over to the office. But I've been one of the owners and sort of running the place with Matt since about 2013.
Okay.
That was kind of when we just got to a size where we needed to actually have a more structured ownership and leadership for the business. We weren't just a bunch of folks running a cool co-op at that point. We were somewhere around 50 or 60 people and running a 3,000 square foot office.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've been doing that ever since.
Nice.
It's a fun, challenging job. I'm like everyone's office dad. It's like reminding people to pay their bills and to clean up after themselves. But I wouldn't have it any other way. It's a great group of folks.
Nice. You said it was called the Collective when everybody first started.
Well, our original name, and legally just our name is Cowork. It's like point of reference. That's. I think we opened 5 years before WeWork or any of those folks. So at the time, Cowork didn't really mean anything. And we rebranded to Atlas Local when there started being other co-working spaces. Yep. I remember when Adam and the folks exactly. I remember when Adam and them were starting to open work, there was this funny conversation where it was like, oh man, people be like, "Oh, you work at one of the co-working spaces?" I'm like, "Yeah, I work at co-work," and they're like, "Yeah, but which one?" And I'm like, "Oh, this is going to be complicated moving forward."
Nice.
So
So when y'all started out, I think you were. It was right down on Main Street, I believe, above Taco Sushi, wasn't it, in that space?
yeah, they were in a space briefly right before that, is my understanding. It's pretty interesting how it's funny to tell these stories now because now it's like, oh man, we're talking about stuff that's like 15 years in the
Yeah, I
making
know.
or
The reason I
even
ask is
longer,
because
I
I
think.
used to be right down the hall from that. That's where the Bright Ball
Oh,
was.
nice. Oh yeah, so we were up above Taco Sushi for a while, then moved over to Trey Cole's space on West Washington. We're there for the longest of times. Loved that space. Loved Trey. Would have loved to have stayed there. We just needed more physical space,
Yep.
and that's when we moved to the mill in
I've actually still
2016.
got the old door placard from when our office
Oh,
was right there.
nice. Yeah, that's fun.
But just couldn't
I
part
keep
with
a
it. It's the only
little
thing
keep.
I had to keep from that time.
That's awesome.
Nice. All
Yeah,
right,
there's
so let's get right into what everybody's probably here for, listening for. Tell me about Grok, the unconference.
yeah. Yeah. So um, internally at Low, at our co-working space, once a month, we try to do sort of like a demo day, hangout day. Um, the original reasons behind that were we were growing to a way that you would sometimes bump into people in the kitchen or the meeting room and be like, "Oh, hey, it's Barry. He's new. I don't really know him. What does Barry do?" And it's like, you want to. So we're like, let's just force people to interact. Let's
That works.
and so usually the way you do that is you provide, pizza and beer or something like that. So we started doing that once a month, and we basically just asked for folks to sign up for a time slot. Sign up for 15 minutes, talk about a thing. We're going to cater food and beverages and stuff. So like if someone's up there talking about their new fixation with some new framework that doesn't matter to you or is interesting to you, like whatever, just smile and nod. And now at least when you bump into that person in the hallway, you know what to talk to them about or what not to talk to them about, maybe.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, that was kind of the way it originally started, and then it sort of morphed into Grok, the conference, in 2011 after South by Southwest. It was like I feel like everyone came back from South by and were talking in the office about their favorite parts of the conference. And almost all of the things people were talking about were not the conference. It was the attendees. It's like, oh, I'm so glad I got to see Barry. I got to see Dwayne. I got to, I never see Kevin and he was there. And like, sure, the speakers and the workshops and things were interesting, but that was rarely people's first reaction or their first answer. They'd kind of get to like, oh yeah, and that talk by so and so was great, and let's discuss that and that sort of thing. Um, but it's probably most of the things that we do in our community, like what was just an organic conversation, was like, well, how do we get our friends and our peers and those people together more without going to South by Southwest? Like selfishly, a lot of us are in Greenville, so it was like, y'all come to me, please. And then two, stuff like South by is expensive. It's like here's a multi-thousand-dollar ticket for the conference if you do all the workshops and the things, flights, hotels, etc. Um, so, like a lot of things at Atlo, it was probably, or it definitely was for Grok, but for lots of the things, it's someone like Matt or Matthew who just is like, well, let's just try it, like let's email 50 people and ask them if they'd want to hang out and do a little mini conference for a Friday or something.
Yeah.
Um, and so that was originally how we started. It was just, I think it was like 35 or 40 of us, and it was just an all day Friday, and we had a few structured things we were going to talk about. But primarily, we wanted the conference to be about the people that are there and about the conversations that we would all have together. And so that's still what we sort of do at Grok nowadays. Is we do have some keynotes and some speakers, and they're phenomenal. And we do our best to try to find um, diverse groupings of skills and things, or to sort of encourage and inspire everyone. But then we also are breaking up attendees into these little breakout groups
Oh,
throughout the conference.
nice.
Yeah, so it kind of gives you the ability for the conference to be what you want to make of it. We will encourage all the attendees through email notifications and things before the conference to like, go ahead and not necessarily plan a super formal talk, but like be prepared to give a 15-minute talk about something that you're working on or you're passionate about. It could be your day job, it could be a side project, whatever. Um, and what usually happens is the first one of the conference is a little quasi awkward. All the introverts are a little quiet, and there's a bunch of loud people like me that will share their ideas or something.
Yeah, that's
But
familiar.
then people kind of find their people, right? You're like, oh man, but Barry was talking about that thing, and that was really interesting. And so then later in the day, when you have other breakout groups and do things, you go find those humans. Or when it's lunchtime or time to go get a beer, you go find those humans. And so the part that we really like about it is that starting of communications and conversations and relationships where it's like, we're not all going to solve what's going on in tech in a 2-day conference, but we can inspire a bunch of people and help them make connections about things that maybe they wouldn't have otherwise. And it's kind of fun to sit back and watch that happen.
That's pretty cool. So so in terms of like the little breakout sessions and stuff, can you like just give me an example of one of those or one that's kind of been memorable in the past?
Yeah. I'm trying to think, man. We had a really cool one from just Jeremy Smith, who's here in town by chance.
Yeah.
He's
He
a
actually started a Ruby
big
conference this year, didn't he?
so he just started a Ruby conference this year or last year.
Blue Ridge
He
Ruby,
gave a
I believe it
real
was.
yeah I couldn't make it, but it's pretty interesting talking to him about it beforehand and stuff because he was like, I get a lot of people that will reach out to me because they want to start stuff. I'm the guy, like, if you want to quit your job and start something new, like, please call me. I'll tell you to quit your job and start something new. But he's like, I'm thinking about starting a conference. And I was like, man, this is the thing about conferences. Like, they're real fun, but they're a lot of work and you won't make any money, probably. And so, like,
Yep, I can relate to that.
but anyways, yeah, exactly. But he's a little bit of like a homesteader. He's a do it himself, be self sufficient, and garden, and he's a handyman, that kind of thing. He gave a talk one time about how communities, like tech communities in Greenville, our little sphere and ecosystem of the world, is just like an ecosystem in the environment or in nature, where like the healthiest relationships are when something something or someone is tied to the ecosystem through more than one way. That way, if one of those bonds breaks, you're not isolated, you're not on your own, that kind of thing. It was pretty interesting. So it was like we were sort of like mapping, how people became part of our community, and it's like, oh, this person and that person, and we're just like talking through it. But it was really interesting to think about the biological aspect of like why human relationships and networks work in that sort of manner.
That's cool.
And I know it's a talk that comes up all the time. People are always like, "Hey, do y'all ever record these things?" And we never do, mainly just because it's a big extra burden. We probably should one day, but
yeah, we hired somebody for the Carolina Co conference this year, and it was. I'm glad we have the recordings for the talks, but I could not have imagined having to deal with that myself. I mean, they brought in a whole camera crew and everything.
Yeah. And then have y'all made those, or will you make those available to the public?
Yeah, they're
or
actually up on
something like
YouTube
that?
now. Yeah, we put them up.
Oh, cool.
We put them up last week.
Nice.
We've got our own YouTube channel for it and everything. All the talks are there, and they even edited my welcome and closing talk, which was just sort of the the what's next stuff. I wasn't planning on putting that stuff up initially. I wasn't even mic'd up for it, but they did a good job of capturing the audio despite not having me mic'd.
Nice. That's awesome. Yeah, maybe we'll have to do that one day. I've always been torn. I love when other folks do it because it's like, oh, I didn't get to attend, but I can still, revisit this material on my own time.
Yeah.
But then selfishly, it's like, oh, this is a whole bunch of more work and admin.
Yeah, they had to do a bunch of editing and all sorts of stuff that was way out of my wheelhouse.
Nice.
But yeah, that's and as you say, you miss out on getting to do the networking and talk to people there if you're not there for it. But that was actually one of the big reasons why we did the recording in the first place, just because we had a really packed day and decided we wanted people to be able to get up and walk around and know that if they missed a talk, they'd still be able to see it later if they wanted to go, network.
I hadn't thought about that angle. Now you're pushing me to see if we'll record ours, maybe.
There you go. See? All right, so there's one question that I have wondered since I first heard about this conference years ago. What does Grok mean?
It's a good question. So it's funny, Matthew Smith, who was one of our partners
Yeah.
at Cowork and Atlo for a long, long time. Love Matthew. He's a dear friend, but he's definitely like an ideas guy. Um, I tend to be more of the like executional, operational. Um, Once I'm excited about something, I'll go do it. But I'm not the kind of person that sits around and just like thinks of cool stuff. Usually, I would never be a good author or something like that. Like making stuff up like that would take me for forever. But he's always reading as an ideas human. And after I was talking about after we came back from South by, um, he had been reading Stranger in a Strange Land, which oh man, I forget who wrote that. Robert Heinlein or something like that. I forget his name. Um, but it's a sci-fi, science fiction book, and there's Martians and stuff in it. And so like Grok's not even an English word originally. Like it was made up for the book. It's a Martian word that
Really?
means to like deeply and thoroughly and like fully know something. So like, to like
Oh,
really grok something is to like mull it over and to understand it and to, I don't know, become one with it or something like that. Kind of depends. Again, it's not a real word, so it's like it's a little how you define it is a little interesting
it
because
is
the book,
now.
yeah, it's I think I need to look it up. Webster has a funny way of describing it. It's like it's the only English word that derives from Martian. It's like okay. Um, yeah, so when we were talking about this concept of like the things we love about conferences is hanging out with your peers and having conversations like this and nerding out and talking about something like running conferences or solving a problem or whatever it is. Matthew, I think, had just reread the book and was like, "Oh yeah, like they talk about that in this book, and it's Martian, and it's just what if we just mulled over some topics all day and like really got to know them?" And we're like, "Cool, love it." And it's an interesting word, and it's just like I don't know, just kind of stuck. It kind of originally our logo was like a caveman. It kind of sounds like a caveman word. Um,
I can see that, I suppose. It'll be interesting now
yeah.
if Elon ever gets to Mars like he wants to, then I wonder if
Oh,
Grok will be the first Martian word.
I guess we have to make it happen now. Yeah.
Yep. Nice. All right, and so
I
you
don't
said
know if he'll get to Mars, but yeah.
you said the first Grok happened in what, 2018, 2017?
No, the very first one was in 2011.
Oh wow, really? Okay,
That was
fair
the
enough.
first one we did that was just a small group of us. I think the first public one we did was 2013.
Okay, cool. Very cool.
So we did it like 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. We skipped some year in there. I forget which year it was. And all the way up till 19, and then, paused for 2021 and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Um, we actually were in like very, very close for 2020, planning and booking the venues and asking speakers to talk and all that kinds of stuff when like, when the world kind of shut down for the pandemic. And Matt, my business partner, who's way more of an optimist than I am, was like, "No, like it will be fine. We'll do it in the fall." And I was like, "No, man, I'm
Mm,
not. Let's not." And then, of course, neither of us knew what was coming down the pipe, but it was
yeah,
like,
definitely not. Nice.
yeah.
Well, so what's something you're really excited about with this year's event?
Ooh, man. I'm this year. I'm really excited about two things. One, our speakers. I'm always excited about our speakers, but this year, Matt's really kind of um, hit it out of the court, trying to find folks that are like not part of our network but should be, if that makes sense.
That does make
So
sense.
Jamie Kasoy is speaking. Jamie is a long term sort of internet friend of our groups and neighborhoods and everything. He's one of those people you're friends with on Twitter, but you see twice a year at a conference or something.
Yep.
Um, Jamie's really good at his craft. He's super funny. Um, So yeah, I'm excited about the speakers. You know, we've got a couple of, I know some of them personally, some of them I've never met before. But when we kind of like made a spreadsheet of all the folks we thought we could invite and ask, we just started saying, like, we got on Slack at Atlo. We're like, all right, here are the people we'd love to talk to. Does anyone have a way I can connect with this person? Back to that whole like ecosystem diagram. It's like, okay, well, I know Barry, and Barry knows Kevin, and Kevin is really close to Jamie. So like, someone make those connections to get me to these
Nice.
people. Um, so that'll be fun. And then one of my primary focuses for this year has been really focusing on the folks that get excited about technology, but don't attend a lot of events because of like financial barrier to entry or logistics or something like that.
Yeah.
So I've been spending the last couple of weeks, month or two, I guess at this point, working with sponsors and donors, and then programs like Women Who Code, Carolina Code School, um, a couple of other that we're still working with. We haven't nailed down yet, but like trying to find ways that we can diversify and grow our sort of network of folks. And I'm specifically kind of trying to focus on folks that might be early in their career. So
Yeah.
maybe folks that have like, gone to the code school and have pivoted and changed, or folks like we would love to partner with some colleges or some high schools to bring some students. That's been the most challenging ones to partner with. Academia is a little interesting. Um, but yeah, I'm excited about that. Primarily because, you know, at least for me, and I think for a lot of people in my circle, it's like, had someone at some point not done that for me, like I wouldn't be here. I would be doing something different probably. But somebody was like, I don't know, you want to come to this event, you want to work on this thing, you want to volunteer on this project, and then you're like, oh, I kind of like this. It seems like something I want to do more of.
Yeah. That's
So that's
also
been
where all
great.
your energy comes from, right? I mean, that everything is new energy.
Yeah. Yeah, having like new and fresh blood. I went to lunch with Christina Robert from who is part of Women Who Code
Yeah.
and works at Atlo a little bit, and we went to lunch to talk about how we could get folks involved. And I was like, you tell me more about Women Who Code and folks like that, and just I don't know what I don't know. And while we're there having lunch, somebody walks by who had like been through the code school that knew Christina from another thing, and then they're
Everybody
like,
knows
"Oh man, I
Christina.
would." Well, yeah, everyone knows Christina, but yeah. But then this guy's like, "Oh, I want to come," and I'm like, "Okay, you write my email on the receipt and just like send me an email. We'll find someone to pay for your ticket, that
Nice.
kind of thing." That's the kind of stuff that gets me excited. And until those types of stories and things start happening and sort of naturally brewing, um, it feels like you've probably experienced this with conference stuff. It just feels like you're sending a bunch of emails and paying some invoices and working on spreadsheets. But then when other people get excited, it's like, oh, this is real. It's going to be worth it. It's going to be exciting. I'm not going to be there alone in this, in this amphitheater.
Yeah, that was exactly why I did the conference the way that I did it this year was, from having never done it before, I had no idea how it was going to go. So I basically did the. You've ever seen people do the coding in public approach to writing stuff, where they're like live streaming their coding and everything, and they're telling about every
Yeah,
bit of progress they're making on their side project or whatever.
right.
I just set up a Substack blog and just started writing about literally everything that we were doing, and just to
Yeah,
see what people were responding to and what they weren't. And
yeah. I was keeping an eye on that. It was
so
interesting. Yeah,
it definitely helped me. I'm more of a writer than a graphics person anyway. So
okay,
we're still
cool.
on the Substack site. We don't have a fancy website yet or anything, and at some point we'll get there. But writing comes pretty naturally to me, and so I do a lot of blogging and writing and whatnot. And so uh, that was my easiest path to getting this stuff done. And turned out you need to write a lot of emails to run a conference anyway, so that works out.
Yeah, you do. Oh man, I we've had the same Mailchimp account since the first one,
Nice.
and I was going through it the other day, like looking at all these people we've emailed and all these different past campaigns, and I was like, man, it's wild to think how many emails I've sent these people, reminding them to do things and to
Oh
fill
yeah.
out these forms, and we always inevitably forget something, and then it's like the week before, it's like, oh, we need to remind everyone of this thing, or like we forgot to ask everyone their t-shirt sizes, or whatever it
Yep,
is. And
I
it's
did
like,
that exact thing this year. Actually, no,
nice.
we got everybody to get their tickets, and then I realized I forgot to include the food allergy question on the
Oh
ticket,
yeah, yeah,
and so I had to
right,
get
yeah.
everybody to re-update all their ticket information so that we could have that.
Yeah, that kind of we that happens every year. We never get something perfect the first time.
Yep,
Oh well, that's part of the fun,
yep.
It's
Organized
it's a
chaos.
weird little adventure. Yes, it's chaos that you're trying to organize. At least I definitely jokingly talk about it as like herding cats, where it's just like there's only
Hmm.
so much we can do with these people, but let's just make sure no one gets hurt.
Yep.
Um,
So, what's the
God,
weirdest thing that you remember happening at a Grok conference?
ooh, weirdest man. So for quite a few years, we did Grok in partnership with the Iron Yard.
Right.
Those folks that started the Iron Yard, Peter and Mason and Eric and all of them are friends of ours and are part of the community. Small little like fun fact is for a while, co-work before we were at this local and the Iron Yard were the same legal entity for a while.
Oh, I didn't know
Um,
that.
that's its whole other blog podcast probably, but yeah, there was a while where we were all in sort of in business together or whatever.
Nice.
Um, and then when the code school blew up, it was like, okay, it doesn't really make sense for us to be this tiny little part of your business. It's y'all go do your thing, we'll go do our thing.
Right.
But man, yeah, weirdest. There's been a few years where we have had like quite a few attendees, like 500-600 attendees or something.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's another a fun challenge. I loved those years, but they're the years that like I don't feel like as a conference attendee that I attended or a conference organizer that I attended. I
Yeah.
was just in the background making sure buses are running and caterers are coming. Um, but we took everyone. Man, we were 2017. We took all the attendees to do the BMW driving course. That was kind of bonkers.
Wow.
Someone posed it as an idea, and Barth was like, "Oh, I know some people," and I used to work at Michelin, so I knew some people. We all just kind of started sending emails, and just magically happened.
That's a lot of people
Um,
to take over there.
it is. I think they thought we were pretty drunk the first time we asked them. They were like, "That many people can't come at once," and we're like, "Okay, well, how many people can you take at once?" Like, what if we? So we had to split the conference up in halves. So it was like one group, Group A went in the morning, one group B was doing these other activities and going to some
Wow.
breakouts and some speakers, and then we flipped at lunch. We had to rent charter buses. One of the buses got a flat tire in the morning of, um,
Goodness gracious.
which, yeah. And then, yeah, one year we played kickball on Floor Field. That was pretty wild. Um, that was really really fun. The footage of that is hilarious. In hindsight, I don't know that we should have taken a bunch of like computer nerds like to go play sports. We did have an injury that was is funny to laugh about now, but was serious at the time. A guy
Oh, God.
fell and broke his wrist pretty bad and needed
What?
surgery. It's yeah,
Playing
it's a
kickball?
he like ran into someone and like fell funny. I don't know. I
Oh,
didn't
man.
actually see it happen. Um,
I
I
can
was
see
with
that. I've
yeah,
had a broken wrist
it's
before.
a
I understand how it happens. It's always a freak accident.
it's one of those you probably as an adult, especially consulting and running businesses and running conferences and stuff, like you probably have been there before. But you have those moments where you like randomly wake up in the middle of the night and think about some like bad thing that happened or that you're trying to fix or whatever. I definitely like once a year wake up and I'm like, oh my gosh, that guy broke his wrist, and I'm like, okay, whew, man, that was a decade ago. We can we can move on, but
Oh,
yeah, we had to. He's good now. I talked to him a couple of maybe about a year ago. Still
nice.
has his hand, so that's good.
That is good. Yeah, I think the most dramatic thing we've had happen so far is um, there was a concern that we weren't going to have coffee for a bunch of
Oh,
programmers.
I mean
And
that's a valid concern.
yeah, we literally shorted the breakers on the building with our coffee pot setup, and weren't sure if we were
Oh,
going to be able to get
nice.
them back up and running. We had four of the guys over at DC 864 who help with the B sides conference, the security conference.
Yeah.
They suggested getting 4 Keurigs and just a bunch of K cups and everything. And so we set them up, and we had a surge protector and everything, but we put them on the same outlet, and
Uh,
the outlet, it overloaded the outlet, tripped the
didn't
breaker.
like
We had to
that.
get building security in there or building maintenance in there to get it fixed and then
Oh
spread them
man,
out everywhere. But you get
that's
concerned
funny.
about what's going to happen with 150 programmers who are not caffeinated.
Yeah,
Could have
no,
gotten
that's,
ugly.
that's definitely we've been there. I normally work with, well, I'm good friends with like Marco and David and all them at Methodical, and they're right there because
Yeah,
we're at the Clemson space most years as well. So I'm always just like, listen, we just have a shuttle with them where it's like they're bringing us one of those little big carafes, and we're taking another one back.
nice.
Um, yeah,
I didn't, I thought really hard about doing that because I spent so many days at Methodical just meeting people before, and that was where I was
right,
always meeting
yeah.
people all the time. But we even gave them a little shout out during the conference, even though they weren't sponsoring or anything, just because
Oh,
they were such an
nice.
integral part of the event, whether they knew it or not.
Yeah, that's super funny because Methodical exists because of tech conferences in some ways.
Really?
Marco was living in Atlanta at the time, if I remember correctly. He had moved down to work for Mailchimp, and he came back into town for Grok. And then one of the afternoons broke off and went and had coffee or beers with Will and David, and that was kind of when they like hatched their idea to like launch Methodical. So
Nice.
I feel like that entitles me to like 1% of the company or something, but
It should. I mean,
they
somebody told me that they're actually featured on an Amazon special about exotic coffees or something like that.
they are, yeah. I've watched
So
it. It's pretty cool.
I haven't actually
It's, I
watched
mean,
it, but I need
I'm
to.
I'm a huge fan of those folks, personally and professionally. I've known them all. I've known David since college. I've known Marco since the early days of the co-working space. And then, when Will was a high school student trying to figure out how to be an adult and run a coffee shop or to get into coffee, for a while he did his own little pop-up coffee shop called Vagabond Barista. And we just told him, like, man, come do it at the co-working space, like 2, 3 days, whatever you want, a week. Just tell us when you're going to be here, and like tell us how we can help you. Again, anyone that wants to like do something weird and different, we're just like, I don't know, try it. What's the worst case? We do it for a couple of
Exactly.
weeks, it doesn't work out. Yeah, and so Will's like, sweet. So I was like,
Nice.
all right, Will, you're doing good. Coffee's awesome. Just don't go to college. Just go ahead and start a business. I was like, I'll support you in any way I can. And then when they opened their shop downtown, the first couple of weeks they did pop ups outside before the building was finished inside. And Will was like, remember that time you said you would do anything? It's like, do you want to come at 6 a.m. and help me set up our coffee bar every morning? And I was like, you know what? I'll do that for a few days. But
Nice. That's awesome. I had no idea about that. I'll have to reach out to Methodical and see if they want to sponsor this podcast now.
yeah, do it. Tell David. David will do it. Just go ahead.
I'll keep that in mind. Speaking of which, Herd Media has been helping me with this, get this podcast off the ground in the first place. They helped with the first episode, and they help with the editing. They're showing me how to do all this stuff. I had no idea because I have no idea what I'm doing when it comes to any of this. But I hear they're over at Atlas Local now as well. Is that right?
Yeah, they're like the prodigal son returned. Adam was there for a while, and then did the work from home thing for a while, and then yeah. So they've got a private office at our space now. I have a feeling they're doing a lot of editing this kind of stuff in there. I don't know. They're always in there with their
Nice.
headphones on, and I walk by and I smile. But they moved in a couple of weeks ago, so
Yep.
it was fun to have them back.
Seems like
I
they're doing pretty well. I
selfishly
appreciate the help because we're very much small potatoes.
Yeah, they're great humans. I haven't had the opportunity to work with them professionally yet, but would be pretty excited about it. And then yeah, we're happy to have them back. Uh, Selfishly, one of the things I love the most about the co-working space is it just means I'm around people
Yeah.
and like I see them. So it's like, oh man, like if you leave the space, it's like whether you like it or not, you're like now a lower tier friend because it's just so easy to like bump into you every morning making coffee and be like, "How's it going, Barry? What you been doing?" That kind of thing. So glad to have him
Absolutely.
back.
Yeah, I've been working remote for about 11 years now, and I tried over at Outlow. I tried over at OpenWorks for a little bit, and I really want to be in a co-working space, but life is busy. My wife owns a business. My wife owns Therapy 360 here in Greenville,
Okay, cool.
and she's been around for 16 years doing that. It's really busy, busy endeavor over there. I got 2 kids, and between getting kids to and from school and stuff randomly coming up and needing to run
Yeah.
errands or whatever else, I live in Easley, and so it's not. I mean, it's only 10 minutes to get to Atlow from my house, which is great.
Right.
But
that 10 minutes is a big barrier some days.
yeah, especially when you need to run an errand during lunchtime or something like that and drop stuff off at the house. Like I kept trying it, but I kept needing to run back to the house to different points, and it was tough.
Yeah.
But
No, I get it.
Point.
I mean, as much as I love the place, and obviously I'm biased, I try to be at home like 2 days a week. Like usually Mondays and Fridays I'm home. Like this is my home office right now.
Yeah.
And I try to make those the days that I'm doing this kinds of stuff where it's like, in the client world, I'm doing a lot of this for client projects and working with team kickoffs and wrap ups and things. So I try to schedule those things appropriately where it's like, all right, well, I'm in my home office. Hopefully you can't hear my kids out there fighting each other. Everyone at Atlow doesn't have to listen to me all day on my meetings. But yeah, I mean, you've got to, for me anyways, like I finally found a rhythm that works and kind of, but yeah, I get it. It's hard, especially when you got kids and stuff. This is the first year that our kids are at separate schools. So like now one's in middle school and one's in elementary.
Yeah.
And like, man, first world problems, but man, it's a hassle, like driving to separate schools. And it's like, oh, today one has an activity and one doesn't. And so it's like, well, who's going to go pick up this kid from violin and who's going to pick that kid up at school? And it's like,
oh yeah,
I don't know how folks with like traditional jobs handle those things. Like, thankfully, me and my wife are both
complicated,
entrepreneurial and running our own stuff. So it's like, if I have to do it, I just do it, But
yeah,
if I was working,
a lot of times it's a matter of just putting the kids in after school programs, and whether it's either some type of sport or something that runs a shuttle to it. I know there's like here in Easley, I know there's a Taekwondo place that runs buses to the elementary schools and just picks kids up right after school and takes them there, and they do their homework while they're in there and stuff. It's a good setup.
We have had lots of parents ask us about doing some form of daycare after school, something like in partnership with the co-working space.
Yeah.
The liability, we've contemplated it.
Question.
The liability is the thing, man. My lawyer's like, do not do this. Yep. Like, I know I tell you to. He's like, shout out to Matt Sherlock, great lawyer out there. He loves the fact that me and Matt love to do weird stuff, but he's like, dude, listen, this is a whole nother thing. This is the like insurance and liability, and it's like a bunch of paperwork, the stuff that you guys are gonna hate. And so I was like, oof.
Yeah. Like I know I've got one of my relatives works for Chick-fil-A corporate in Atlanta, and they've got like a huge daycare facility there for all the employees, but it is like a fully staffed business. And I mean, there's and we've even at my wife's office, we've talked for years. I mean, she's had it for 16 years, and of course, it comes up over time. You're trying to figure out, what can you do to make your employees' lives easier, and absolutely that would come up as a great thing. And they even work in pediatrics, so it would be great. But it's just really, really tough to figure out a way to make it work that's beneficial all around.
Yeah. Man, is that the first iPhone I see on your bookshelf?
It is. There? Yes, it is. Right there. Do you know Ryan Beck?
I know of him. I don't know him super well.
Okay, so he had Mediastation, and now and then I think they merged with Fuel, and now he's got Beck Digital. Yeah. But I worked for him with another friend of mine, Chris Coker. Ryan was actually our boss at Nuvox, which is now Windstream, of course. But that was my first job out of college, and I went and worked for him at Mediastation after that for a bit, and we finished a really big project right as the iPhones were coming out, and our reward for doing a good job on their great projects was they got us first edition iPhones. And so that's awesome. I can't bring myself to part with it because it's kind of a collector's item now, I figure.
Yeah. Oh man, I wish I had mine. I even camped out for it, which in the upstate of South Carolina, you didn't need to do, just in case anybody's wondering. I camped out for it, and the guys at AT&T are like, there was like three of us, and they're like, we have plenty of phones. You'll be good. And I was like, I don't know. I thought all the nerds were excited like I was excited, but I don't know.
Yeah, well, so I found out it depended on the store, because when I forget what year it was, but one of the years they had a major update to it, and I remember going to somewhere in Greenville when I was in Greenville every day working, and they were sold out. There was a line out the door. They were coming in and like taking phone numbers and saying, "All right, at this point in the line, nobody's getting anything."
Right, you're done.
And so I left, and I just went over to the AT&T store in Easley, and they were like, "Here."
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, win sometimes.
Yeah. Oh man, I remember when we didn't even have like an Apple store in the upstate. I remember like if I broke my computer, I'd have to like go to Atlanta or Charlotte or something.
Well, there was always that
And
place in downtown. What was it?
yeah, the iStore was great. Rest in peace, man. They just finally closed shop.
I heard that.
I walk by there and get kind of bummed. I always liked having them.
Yep.
Selfishly, they did great, and they're right there beside Methodical. I can always drop off my stuff, have a coffee, wait for an hour.
Yeah, it's hard to run a business for sure, especially with retail space and rent and all that. But
that's a soapbox I can stand on for a while. I love Greenville, and I love this little town. I'm from here and born and raised, and it's like it's not a quaint little tiny town anymore. It's interesting when it's like, I love this place, but it's like it's getting harder and harder to run businesses in this town. It's not as affordable anymore. And
yep, it's still affordable on the outskirts. I mean, you can rent space in different areas of like the different little downtowns like Simpsonville or whatever else. But
but like
there's always options.
Not at all.
Starting costs are tough.
Yeah, I'm not at all surprised that, the iStore can't make it in downtown Greenville. Like we're on the front page of everything right now, just places to visit, places to move. And it's like, I hate it. And I mean, obviously the Apple Store had to put a big crunch on them as well, but
yeah. But, all right. Well, look, thanks a lot for your time today. I think we've chatted for a good long time here, but, any final thoughts on Grok for us? What are the dates? October 5th and 6th, I believe.
Yeah, the conference is October 5th and 6th. The 4th, the night before, we usually do like a pre-hangout, because a lot of folks will be coming in from out of town and stuff. So that night we'll either have a party at the venue or meet up at a brewery or something. TBD on that. If like I said earlier, anyone that is interested in coming, like we obviously would love to have them. I tell folks, like I've had a bunch of friends and acquaintances be like, oh, like, should I come? It sounds really exciting, but I'm not a tech guy or I'm not a design person or whatever. And I'm like, man, if it sounds exciting to you, then like, yes, be there. I mean, I'm not a tech dude anymore. I'm a washed up professional adult. I work in spreadsheets all day, It's like I get into GitHub like once a month just to update some tiny little thing. So it's like, wanting to be there is part of it, but it's just, the excitement and the enthusiasm, and you'll find your people there.
Yeah.
And then, for anyone that's listening and wants to come, if finances are a problem, shoot us an email. My email is just chris@atlaslocal. You can also email Grok@atlaslocal. The city, we're working with the city and a bunch of folks, to sort of alleviate that problem. So, it's been great. I've been super excited about the local outpouring of support. There's been lots of people that want to come but can't, so they're like, "Hey, I'm gonna buy a ticket, give it to someone who needs it," that sort of thing. So
kind of a scholarship.
Something like that. I wish that we had thought of like a more formal plan for that. It was just in the past it's just always worked out, so we just like, I don't know. But it's just we love watching the community sort of take care of itself, and so it's like, all right, well,
I understand. All right, well, look, thanks a lot for joining us today. Can't wait for Grok. I believe the website is grokconf.com. That's grokconf.com.
Yes, sir.
All right, thanks a lot, Chris.
Thanks, pal. See you soon.